So you're thinking about building a commander deck and are wondering what colors you should include. The question is nagging at you. What is the ranking? What is the best colors in the commander format? How would we rank the 5 from best to worst? If this is your question, then this is a video for you. If this would have been 2015/16, the answer is quite simple. Carpet of Flowers, Mystic Remora or Ad Nauseam. Sultai is basically the best color. Green basically offered you ramp, remember Arcane Signet didn't exist back then. Blue gave you counter spells. There weren't that many stacks, prominent decks, so the only way to kinda interact back in those days were with controlled magic. Where black gave you the tutors. I mean, back then white and red offered Wheel of Fortune and Grand Abolisher, and that was kinda it. Alright, sure, you had Silence, Red Rituals and Swords of Plowshare, so you had a little bit more, but that was kinda it. And I guess we should mention that red brought Fire Covenant with it if you combined it with black. However, no one really played it back then because you had board wipes that basically dealt with all creatures at a less loss of life, and there weren't that many creatures that you needed to kill. This one got popular later. The first deck to actually play this prominently was Nayela, that wanted to get rid of mass amounts of blockers but wanted to keep her own attackers. And then Wizard of the Coast started to print cards. Who would have thought? And now green, black and blue started to get variations of things they already had, but with tweaks on them, while white and red started to get upgrades. Suddenly we got a swing from Sultai to Grix. Because red suddenly got 2 amazing weapons, Dockside Extortionist and Underworld Breach. And from being considered absolutely worst, red was now considered being the best color inside the entire format. But printing continued and white started to get some amazing cards too. When Smothering Tide came, that really opened a lot of people's eyes towards white. Previously it was just protection, now they got ramp or mana acceleration at a really high level. Previously white has only been known for its protection, for its silence effect, like Grand Abolisher is one of the absolute still best white cards in the game. Well, Grand Abolisher eventually got a cousin, Ranger Captain of Eos, and it's a good discussion between Ranger or Grand Abolisher, which one is the better? Well, doesn't really absolutely matter. This is definitely putting white on the menu, especially when they also printed a white card you could tutor for Esper Sentinel. So now that Grixis is on the throne and red is basically the best color, white has gotten upgrades, what is the ranking? Is red still on top or has it changed somehow? Well, let's actually explain Wizards of the Coast and why red and white have been so bad for so long. So there's a lot of really cool videos out there on YouTube explaining the color pie. And throughout EDH history, including casual, you've divided colors into roles. Someone would say that green is ramp and stompy creatures, white is life gain and protection, blue is control and Kadra, black is tutor, and red is aggression and aggro. Well, there is some kind of truth to that in a form of illusion, because that's not the entire story. You see, there's a question Wizard of the Coast has basically been trying to answer. How should red draw cards? You see, the color pie isn't locked into roles. They are locked into how they do things. In my opinion, Robber of the Ridge is a great example of how Wizard of the Coast are experimenting forward on how red should be drawing cards and finding the power level for it. Thing is, this card is actually kinda bad and Wizard of the Coast needed to upgrade, which led them to potentially overpowering it a little bit. Ragavan and Facebreaker they're really strong, a little bit too strong maybe. But if you look at red now, they are starting to be able to do everything, similar to how green is able to do everything. Because they're starting to figure out how red is gonna draw cards. how red is gonna tutor for cards, etc. Similar to how they are figuring out how white should be gaining value. You could summarize it and say that white draws cards or gains value when someone is breaking the law, because white is law and order. They're establishing law and order, and when you break it, you have to pay for it. While red is basically thieving and theft. They are pillaging. They're gaining value by taking from others, because everything belongs to everyone as it is anarchy. And there are more examples of how different colors are doing the same thing but different. Same but different. Grand Abolisher protecting yourself, while Allosaurus Shepherd is also protecting yourself. We have anti-grave cards from several colors, Rest in Peace, Scavenging Ooze, Daffy Voidwalker. We even have a new white Scavenging Ooze, same but a little bit different. And we even have blue Rituals. Who would have thought? It's not only red that is sitting on Rituals, blue has some too. Blue actually has more Rituals than you might think, you just need to know how to look at it. We also have a lot of different ways to combine Dockside with various difference of colors, for example Dockside and Barin. Gruul's version with Dockside and Tamer's Sabertooth. Rakdos version with Dockside and Ruthless Technomancer. Okay, now this actually requires that you have a sack outlet, but that's kinda easy to acquire with black. And then you have the Dockside Emil, the most popular version, the Boros version. So the final answer to what is the best color is none of them. In my personal opinion, they are all equally good, more or less. They are just doing the same thing but differently. And among all the different variations, depending on what is best for you, what you want your deck to do, that option would be best for you. For example, you wanna build a deck with the Tymna because you think Tymna is a great commander inside the current metagame that you're playing, then you should try to consider the red version of card draw, the creature version, because Professional Facebreaker will synergize greatly with Tymna. While a card like Sylvan Library, a great card by the way, doesn't synergize that much with Tymna. But it does synergize greatly with a commander like Tuvasa the Sunlit. Just like how you might want to have a card like Rest in Peace with that commander as well. And I think this is great, because this is allowing all colors to be equally played, or to some extent equally played. I don't think we're absolutely there yet. I think white would need a tiny bit more boost. But I do think that white is going to get the cards it needs to basically be together at the same power level with the rest of the other colors. They definitely have a lot of really strong cards you usually want to have inside your deck, like the Ranger, the Grand Abolisher, the Silence. Now, what this allows, where all colors are equally good, they're doing all the same things, they're just doing it different, means but we also have more deck diversity. In cEDH, more and more commanders are becoming viable because their colors are becoming more viable. They're just doing the same thing as most other commander decks, but they're doing it different. They're doing it with their color pile style. And I really like that. That keeps the essence of what Magic should be. I really like how white is gaining value in card draw when people breaks the law, while red is gaining value when they successfully attack someone. And I actually think this is just going to get better. I think Wizards of the Coast are gonna experiment and try to improve on this style forward more. That's it! Those were my thoughts, my personal opinions of the conclusions that I have drawn. Thank you so much for watching the video. I hope you liked it and that you found it inspiring.